This year so far has been filled with 6-hour double cheeseburgers, insane 6-layer rainbow cakes, 20 some odd ingredient recipes. It's gotten a little crazy, so I think it's time to take things back to basics. Well, hello my peeps and welcome back to the channel. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like these days we're all looking for stuff that's quick and easy, maybe more affordable, stuff that can get done real fast. Which is precisely the reason that I have scoured the internet and compiled a couple recipes that can be made in 10 minutes or less. Because who's got time for anything else? And also it's a nice easy video for me to make, so I'm all for this one. We're gonna be trying out Chef Eric Z's 1-minute noodle and Tasty's 10-minute chicken wings, in addition to Gordon Ramsay's mushroom pasta and Not Another Cooking Show's brown butter steak. I certainly have my doubts with these as to whether or not they'll actually be 10 minutes or less, if they're even gonna be good in the end, so let's get right into this one. As I said, let's start today with Chef Eric Z's 1-minute noodle. You will need some black vinegar and soy sauce, sesame oil and chili oil, sesame seeds and fresh noodles, sugar, garlic, and scallions. Now listen, I am all for being dramatic for views. I mean, look at me. But this one seems like quite a big stretch, to say the least. I mean, you've got to prep your veggies, your garlic and onion. You've got to boil off your noodles and then allow those time to chill. You've got to mix up the ingredients for your saucy flavor base. I mean, 1 minute from when? What are we talking here? Was that just some kind of metaphor for a generally fast noodle dish? Because although I still was able to throw this together in about 10 minutes, certainly wasn't 60 seconds. With that being said too, if I think any one of these recipes have no chance of coming together in 10 minutes or less, they will be disqualified today. I've had it with some of these people's hyperbole of titles. So it'll remain to be seen as to how we're gonna be able to make a chicken wing dish or even a steak in that allotment of time, but that's for a little bit later. It is now time to try rapid recipe number 1. It just hit me that I was probably supposed to drain the sauce out from the noodles, but who cares? Unsurprisingly, this is really good. It's so punchy with the flavors. It hits everything from the acid, the spicy, the sweet, the garlic. The combination of the ingredients in that sauce is never gonna not be good. I mean, it's actually very similar to a dumpling sauce. And although I don't mind a cold noodle once in a while, I almost always prefer a hot noodle. I don't know why, I just rarely ever make myself cold noodle dishes. A little bit deceptive with the 1-minute thing, but overall, still very quick, and I highly recommend. Next up today, we're gonna be trying out an old classic. It's the 10-minute 5-ingredient cola wings from Tasty. I grabbed some soda and vegetable oil, soy sauce, scallions, and some pre-cooked chicken wings. Well, that answers that question. I assumed we weren't going to be able to make chicken really in any form from raw in less than 10 minutes. Maybe if you had some ground chicken or like some thinly sliced chicken breast for some kind of sandwich, that would work. But otherwise, you're not going to be able to cook most forms of chicken in this amount of time, unless of course you're comfortable with risking many different forms of illnesses. And this one's even simpler than the last recipe. You bring your wings up to temperature and try to get the exterior a little bit crispy. Dump down your soy sauce and your soda, and once that all thickens up, you're pretty much there. For those wondering, I did in fact time this, and it took about 6.5 to 7 minutes for the sauce to fully thicken up over a medium-high heat. And at first glance, this sauce wasn't looking nearly as good as the one in Tasty's video. Theirs looked really cohesive and thick and sticky. Mine seemed to split a little bit, and it was kind of greasy, but all in all, you cannot complain. This was still super simple. These smell awesome, and they look even better. If you handed me this, there's no way on planet Earth I would have guessed that there's only 2 ingredients that make up this sauce. Yes, those 2 ingredients are composed of 1,000 within themselves, but you get my point. Once again, it's something that's surprisingly tasty. It's greater than the sum of its parts. That chicken is nice and juicy. If I got specifically the sauce on any food item in a restaurant, I really wouldn't second guess it. It's sweet, it's salty. I will say I hate the coating. There's absolutely no purpose in sauteing these first and trying to get them crispy because they just get completely sogged out when that sauce is forming. As all the water evaporates, it kind of just steams the coating on these and it just becomes a big old mushy mess. But the flavor's good, and once again, I can't not recommend these for how quick they are, so doing pretty good so far. In today's 3 spot, we've got Gordon Ramsay and his mushroom leek pasta. I obtained some olive oil and heavy cream, chicken stock and mushrooms, lasagna sheets, ciabatta bread, garlic, salt and pepper, leeks, and some fresh tarragon. If you're not already noticing the trend here, I purposely formatted these recipes today in order of my least skeptical to most skeptical of these meeting the actual 10-minute mark goal. Because I'm gonna be honest, I don't think a steak nor a pasta dish with a scratch sauce, freshly chopped and sauteed vegetables have ever taken me less than 15 to 20 minutes at the minimum. Regardless, I'm still gonna bust my backside trying to finish this as quickly as possible. So I chopped up my garlic, mushrooms, and leeks, added those into my pan one at a time, trying to get some color, trying to really cook this down and get those flavors intensified. Deglaze with the chicken stock, finish this with the cream, salt and pepper, and the freshly chopped tarragon. One piece of advice would be to not try to use oven-ready lasagna sheets like I did here. I actually accidentally picked these up from the store, so I figured I would wing it. If you're not familiar, these are not really supposed to be boiled. They're just supposed to be layered with your ingredients to make your lasagna. And they were falling apart a little bit, but I think this will work just fine as a proof of concept. And if you've already guessed that there was no way in hell this was gonna come together that quickly, you would be correct. I noticed I was already at 25 minutes by the time I started to plate this. I'm still gonna taste this just to see what we've got going on here, and because I'm very hungry, but Gordon, you sir have broken the rules, so this better be the best recipe of the day. All right, Gordon, you and your 10 35-minute meals. This better be the best one of the day. It does look very good. So this one is just okay, I would say. There's a few technical things that I screwed up just because I was in such a hurry. It's under-seasoned. That sauce needs to be thickened up a little bit more. It's a bit too runny still. And just a personal thing, I do not love tarragon. I actually forget because I use it so infrequently, but I don't love how black licorice forward it is. And I dumped a whole handful in here, so it's a bit overwhelming. But I love mushrooms, I love pasta. I'd be okay with this on any weekday, unless I was cooking it with the expectation that it took a lot less time. So do with that information what you will. If I had to rank them, this would probably be coming in third so far today. And lastly on the slate, we are revisiting Not Another Cooking Show, or Steven Cusato, who's becoming a semi-regular on the channel. And for his supposed 7-minute steak, all you will need is some salt and hot cherry peppers, dried oregano and neutral oil, parmesan and butter, a ribeye steak, garlic, lemon, and fresh thyme. Once again, this is another one that I refuse to believe could be done as quick as he is advertising. We're dealing with a pretty thick steak here. I feel like the cook time on this is gonna take up the majority of our time just for that. And outside of the timing factor, I'm mostly curious to see how all this other stuff is gonna play with this steak. Although I am Italian, or I should say my ancestors were Italian. I would never think to make a standard steak like this with so many Italian-style ingredients, from the parm and oregano to the chili peppers. I feel like over the years I've become a bit of a steak purist. I love reverse searing them with just salt and pepper, butter, garlic, thyme, that's it. So on top of the quick and easy aspect, this one's got some heavy lifting to do to convince me that these flavors are gonna work too. But just like Steven did in a stainless steel pan, I cooked off my steak for a couple minutes each side. If you thought for a second I was too good to use a thermometer to make sure I cooked this properly, you're wrong. Sure, I could have acted all slick and tried to nail this without one, but I spent almost $25 on this steak, so I'm gonna make sure it's cooked half decently. I really like the prospect of utilizing the residual fat and butter that's left over in the pan. You just spruce it up with some of the lemon juice, all your chopped up peppers, and make sort of a brown butter sauce. My immediate thought was, I wish there was a way to emulsify this because it's gonna look pretty greasy and runny on the plate, but either way, the flavors are probably gonna blow me away. It smells absolutely insane. So let's give the fourth and final recipe on the day a try. So I'm pretty mixed on the appearance of this. The cook is pretty decent. It's a nice medium in spots. I don't love the pooling of oil. I feel like I'm gonna have certain militaries down here invading my basement. And if you're trying to pretend like you would care about the little thermometer hole in the middle, no you don't. That is good stuff. That is freaking flavorful. It's another dish that I would describe as insanely punchy and in your face. You get the spice, you get the lemon. The Parmesan is a really nice touch. I would have never thought to put Parmesan on my steak instead of a finishing salt. The oregano might feel a little out of place, but that's about the only thing. I love everything else about this. I think I still prefer my reverse sear method for steaks. It just guarantees you a very nice, even cook throughout. Another one that is not 10 minutes, but in a relative pinch, it's another good option. All in all, it'd be pretty hard to go wrong with any of these recipes today.
With the M without the AD. Flipping burgers and my money super lazy. Try and make a meal tonight, they ain't paying me. Try and supersize my life with my 18. Yeah, our style wasn't wavy, but we had a vision.
That bastard thing always gets me.